Hello, I'm Marcus. I'm a painter and sculptor working in a variety of different media. Today we'll be taking a look at how Schneider Acrylic Markers work and some of the techniques you can use when creating your artworks. Acrylic markers get their name from acrylate in the ink recipe. It's the binder that is responsible for the adhesion of color pigments to different surfaces, such as wood, metal, plastic, textile, etc. While most permanent paint markers are alcohol-based, acrylic markers are water-based. Although this makes the drying time for acrylic markers longer, there are a couple of advantages. The ink can be blended and mixed while it's wet. It doesn't smell while painting, and it's also possible to work on absorbent surfaces without the pigments being sucked in. Schneider markers are made in Germany and are subject to strict and constant quality controls. They only use premium pigments which guarantee high opacity, therefore it's really easy and fun to work with them. The markers come in a huge variety of colors, ranging from the basics like red, blue, green and yellow to special ones like apricot, burgundy, gold and silver. Painted markers are available in 3 different thicknesses. The smallest tips are the 2mm ones. These are perfect for putting in smaller details once you have the outline of your design. Next you have what I basically call a workhorse. It's the 4mm. They can do most of the jobs. They'll cover a large area and you can do some fairly detailed work with them, so it's the pen that you're probably going to use most. Thickest tips are 15mm wide. They're great for covering large areas. You can also use them creatively to achieve unique patterns. These acrylic markers are so-called valve markers. In order to get the pen ready for use, it must be shaken well, gently pumped until the tip is completely saturated with ink and the first lines drawn in a safe place. You can hear that there's a mixing ball inside. This way shaking allows the pigments to mix with the rest of the ink recipe inside the barrel. Since our acrylic ink behaves completely differently on each surface, please check out the rest of our video guide series for more information. Make sure to put the cap on again after using the marker so that the tip does not dry out. If this happens anyway, place the tip in clear water until the ink is dissolved and then rinse the ink out of the tip. While using the markers, if the lines are starting to fade, simply repeat the activation process and pump the markers up again. Acrylic markers are easy to use, but hard to master. If you start experimenting with Schneider acrylic markers, you can discover a wide variety of advanced techniques. Since most techniques rely on the acrylic ink being wet or dry, make sure to check out the drying time for the surface on which you are planning to work. If you are working on a darker surface or just want your colors to be more vivid and dominant, layering colors can be a good idea. After putting on the first layer, wait until it dries, then put on the second layer. As an example, I'm going to put a white undercoat on this coated paper surface. This will take about 10 minutes to dry. There you go, it looks crisp and vibrant. Blending is the same process as layering, without waiting for the first layer to dry. The acrylic inks can be mixed and blended while they are still wet. I'd like to make a gradation of color from white to red on this plastic bottle. It takes the ink longer to dry on plastic compared to a surface like card, so it's perfect for blending. While it's still wet, I'm going to add more white. So you can see the 2 colors now mixing and creating a pink in the middle there. A very nice gradation of color from white to red. Again, experiment on different materials. You may need to add borders or outlines to your work for precision. On paper, you can easily use pencils for outlining, but on rougher surfaces such as glass, you can either settle for a 2mm thick marker, or you can go for a stencil or masking tape to make sure you don't color outside the borders. To create some sharp outlines, you can use various methods, but here I'm going to show you how to use the edge of a piece of paper. You can mix the colors around. Okay, as you can see, the area that was masked is fairly sharp and it stands out. If you want to create a spray paint effect, you may try blowing the freshly applied wet ink with a straw. Another pro technique is to use a water-soaked brush on the ink before it dries to create a watercolor style artwork. So you're turning the color from high opacity to a very transparent color here, like watercolor. If you want to know more about how acrylic markers work on certain materials, head over to our website for even more information. If you like our video, make sure to hit the like button and follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. And for now, my advice is simple: never stop experimenting.